Welcome to today's explainer. Okay, let's just dive right in, because today we are tackling a universally painful, incredibly frustrating, and honestly just fascinating mystery. We're talking about the lingering old flame, the classic one that got away. You know exactly what I mean. You're just minding your own business on a Tuesday, completely fine, and bam. Someone walks past you in a coffee shop wearing that very specific perfume. Or, you're cleaning out a closet and you find a dusty old movie ticket stub shoved deep in a winter coat pocket. And just like that, your entire day is totally derailed. Days, months, literally decades can go by, and yet they're still living rent-free in the back of your mind. So today, we're going to look at the hard data and the actual neural architecture behind this lingering love to find out exactly why this happens.
So why won't your brain let go? Seriously, you probably beat yourself up about this all the time, right? Asking yourself, why can't I just move on? It is so easy to fall into that downward spiral of self-blame. But listen, we really need to fundamentally reframe how we think about this. You've got to stop viewing it as a personal weakness or, some failure of willpower. You wouldn't blame yourself when your knee jerks after a doctor taps it with a little mallet, right? And you absolutely shouldn't blame yourself here. What we're really dealing with is a genuine neurological whodunit happening right inside your own head. Your biology, your actual physical body, is actively working against your logic.
Section 1. The one that got away. Investigating the lingering romance.
Now, you probably already know the symptoms all too well. We're talking about those lingering thoughts that suddenly hit you at 2 in the morning when you're literally just trying to get some sleep. The completely irrational attachment that pops up when you find yourself actively fighting the urge to check their social media, even though you guys haven't spoken in years. And of course, the sheer inability to just forget. If you have been through this, you know how incredibly frustrating it is. Logically, you know the relationship is over. You desperately want to move on with your life. But your mind, it just keeps serving up memories and feelings that completely contradict what you actually want. Basically, your brain is staging a full-blown rebellion against your own common sense.
Section 2. Seared in memory. The neurological culprits.
We so often talk about love in these really warm, soft, fuzzy terms, right? Like gentle paintings or poetic sonnets. But man, the research on the neuroscience of heartbreak paints a wildly different picture. The science actually tells us that intense emotional connections are literally seared into the brain. To really get why this happens, we have to think back to evolutionary biology. Human survival basically used to rely entirely on our ability to form deep, enduring bonds with other people. So, when you form a really intense connection, your brain treats it like critical infrastructure. It doesn't look at love as some passing hobby. It literally views it as absolutely essential for your survival. Because of that, the way it records that love isn't gentle at all. It's a harsh, almost aggressive reality of neural branding.
So, what exactly is happening to our neurons here? If our brains are prioritizing these deep connections for our literal survival, and we are physically carrying around this branding of a past love, we really need to look under the hood. What specific biological mechanism is creating this permanent brand in our minds long after the person has actually left?
Well, the absolute crucial piece of the puzzle here is this concept of synchronized neurons. There's this super famous phrase in neuroscience: neurons that fire together, wire together. When you form an intense emotional connection with someone, your brain cells literally link up. They synchronize. Think of your brain kind of like a wildly overgrown forest. The very first time you walk through it, you're hacking away at branches, and it is incredibly difficult. But the more you and your partner walk that exact same path together, by creating inside jokes, sharing a morning coffee routine, or developing unique ways of comforting each other, the clearer that path becomes. Eventually, that rough little trail turns into a fully paved, multi-lane permanent highway right in your brain. You are physically wiring your bodily reactions to this other person.
And that beautifully sets us up for our second biological culprit, which is implicit memory. Because your neurons synchronized and built that permanent highway during your relationship, those experiences get stored as implicit memory. This is completely unconscious, long-term memory. It is literally the exact same mechanism as muscle memory, the stuff that lets you effortlessly ride a bike without actually thinking about pedaling. So when it comes to your ex, implicit memory means your brain is operating totally under the radar. It just automatically cues up this massive rush of warmth and longing the split second you hear their favorite band playing at the grocery store. And that happens way before your logical brain even has time to step in and remind you, hey, wait, we broke up 3 years ago.
Okay, let's summarize the neural branding process and put this all together. It is starkly biological. Step 1. You form an intense emotional connection. Step 2, your neurons physically synchronize, turning those little forest trails into massive paved highways. And Step 3, implicit memory takes hold, making those emotional feelings a totally involuntary reflex, just like riding that bike. I really want to emphasize this because it completely validates what you're feeling. Moving on isn't just emotionally hard, it is genuinely physically difficult. You are quite literally fighting against the hardwiring of your own brain.
Moving on to Section 3, the factor of idealism, the mind's trick. What if? Let's just pause on those two little words for a second, because these are arguably the absolute most dangerous words in the English language when it comes to heartbreak. Your brain completely hates a vacuum. It hates unresolved narratives. So these two words become the ultimate fuel for your lingering attachment. The exact moment your implicit memory involuntarily triggers a physical feeling of connection, your mind immediately rushes in to fill that blank space by asking, well, what if it had worked out?
And this brings us right to a concept that both psychologists and screenwriters actually call the factor of idealism. It's this psychological phenomenon where we romanticize an alternate timeline, focusing entirely on perfect what-ifs instead of the messy, complicated reality of what actually happened. Screenwriters use the factor of idealism to write, multi-million-dollar rom-coms that captivate all of us. But your brain? Your brain uses it to direct an agonizing, unreleased indie film right inside your head. A film where your ex is the flawless protagonist and all those actual terrible arguments you guys had are just completely left on the cutting room floor.
And this really perfectly captures the core conflict, this ultimate tug of war happening inside you. In one corner, you have the emotional reality. This is the raw, physical data. You've got implicit memory and synchronized neurons firing off simply because you were once deeply attached to someone. Then, in the other corner, you have the psychological spin, the what-if idealism. Your mind feels those physical neurons firing. It has literally no idea what to do with the sudden physical discomfort, and so it desperately throws this highly romanticized, completely unrealistic what-if filter over that raw data, just trying to make sense of the feeling.
Naturally, this tug-of-war drops you right into the idealism trap. When your brain leans on the factor of idealism, it actively and aggressively ignores the relationship's actual flaws. It conveniently forgets those screaming matches overloading the dishwasher or the fundamental incompatibilities that actually caused the breakup in the first place. Instead, it just amplifies the positive traits of your ex-partner, constructing this perfect alternate reality where everything magically worked out. And this trap is so incredibly dangerous because it keeps you completely stuck. Why? Because you are no longer mourning the real, flawed, complicated human being you actually dated. You're mourning a flawless, idealized version of the relationship that literally never existed. You aren't missing the person, you are missing the phantom your brain projected.
Section 4. Case closed. Understanding your brain.
So if our deepest loves are just synchronized neurons and what-if idealism, does that make the memories any less real? I really want to leave you with that final thought to ponder today. We have just spent this entire explainer breaking down love and heartbreak into cold, hard biology, paved neural highways, and psychological parlor tricks. But seriously, consider this. If our deepest loves are truly just synchronized neurons and what-if idealism, does that make the memories or the way those connections shaped who we are today any less real? It's just a beautifully fascinating tension between the physical reality of our biology and the deeply romantic reality of our human experience. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep questioning, keep learning, and I'll catch you next time.